In this video, I'm going to explain to you briefly why do we need earth wire and the fuse. Both are actually safety features. Now, I hope you can recall the 3-pin plug that we went through on the notes here, and I want you to pay attention to these two diagrams. They are actually the same thing, and we have the 3 wires, the live wire, the earth wire, and the neutral wire. Okay, and the fuse, you can see here the fuse and the switch are on the live wire. These are things that you have learned. Okay, now let's go back to here. Actually, if things are very simple, actually we just basically need a live wire that brings the current into the electrical appliances and then out by the neutral wire. Let's say this is a kettle with a metal casing. Okay, now and let's give a power rating for this kettle. So let's assume it's 2400 watts and a 240 volt in Singapore, and we can use this information to actually find the normal current for the kettle if it's working fine. So power equals to IV. Okay, so I equals to P over V, which is 2400 divided by 240. So you have basically 10 ampere of current, normal current if it's working fine. So that means to say, if everything is fine, 10 ampere of current will flow in and 10 ampere of current will flow out, and you use it for 20 years, nothing will go wrong. So you don't need any other things actually. But the problem arises where if there's an electrical fault. For example, let's say due to years of usage, there's a damaged insulation, a frail wire, a live wire touches the metal casing. Now this is dangerous because right now, as you know, the live wire is actually maintained at high potential of 240 volt. So that means to say this all the way here until it touches the metal casing, the whole metal casing will be live at 240. You can't see any, you don't see anything, okay, you won't know. And the danger arises where a person accidentally touches the metal casing and he's standing on the ground, is considered 0 volt, and he will get a electric shock. Okay, so that's the danger. And how do we solve this problem? That's why we have the earth wire. Okay, the earth wire, one end of it has to be connected to the metal casing and the other end is connected to the ground. Okay, so this is earth wire and it's 0 volt because it's connected to the ground. And what it does is, okay, now if I were to change the color here, now because of this earth wire, so now the short circuit current will choose to flow through here, the metal casing, through the earth wire and to the ground, because this path, the green color path, has basically very low resistance. So the short circuit current will choose to flow through this path instead of the person, because our human body on average we have a few thousand, maybe let's say 2000 ohms, depends on how dry or wet your skin is. So all the current will choose to flow through this path instead of the human. So this protects the user. So we solve the problem, but there's another problem here. Now, as the current flows through the green path here, the current is very high. Okay, let's give it a rough value. I equals to V over R, and the potential difference is 240. And let's say this green color path here, the resistance is very low. Let's just give it a 10. Okay, and the current work out to be 24 ampere, which is much higher, more than double the normal current that is needed for the kettle. So when that happens, this current keep on leaking to the ground. Okay, you can see the meter keep on running and you're paying a lot of electrical bill for that. But before that, after a while, because of that, this high current flowing through the cables, okay, no matter what, it has some resistance, it will overheat. Okay, it will overheat and it might lead to a hazard. Okay, a fire, it might lead to fire. So we have another problem here, and what do? That's why we can insert a fuse here. Now a fuse, the fuse rating that we choose has to be just higher than the normal working current, which is 10 ampere. So basically you can choose a fuse that's 11 ampere or 12 ampere. 1 or 2 ampere higher is fine, and it has to be a whole number. But in the industry, the next higher one is actually a 13 ampere fuse. So I think either one of the answer is okay for the fuse. So let's assume the fuse is 13 ampere. And when the short circuit along the green path, the current flows through is 24 ampere, which exceeds the fuse rating. Okay, what happens to the fuse? That it will melt and break the circuit. So when this fuse melts already, it's basically open here, and so the 240 volt is until this point, 240 volt. Beyond here is totally cut off already. Here onwards will be 0 volt, and the metal casing will never become live. So basically when the fuse melts and break the circuit, it totally disconnect the appliances from the high potential of the live wire. So everything is safe. So this is the reason why we need the earth wire and the fuse, and basically you can say that both of them have to work hand in hand. So I hope with this video you're able to understand better how the fuse and the earth wire work. Now let's do a quick recap. Okay, if you want the detail, you can look through the notes that I've given you, but I want to bring attention to what is the function of the earth wire in the event of electrical fault. It's always good to include this because the fuse and the earth wire will only come into play when there's an electrical fault. So for example, live wire touch the metal casing, the short circuit current will flow to the ground by the low resistance path through the earth wire. Okay, and so if any user were to touch it, no current will flow through the body because our body has relatively high resistance. So this earth wire is actually to protect the user, remember that. And how about the fuse? Okay, likewise read through the notes here. So once again, in the event of electrical fault where the short circuit current exceeds, this word is important. Instead of saying that a high current flow through, how high is your high? It has to exceed the fuse rating, then the fuse will melt and breaks the circuit. Okay, so once again, it will disconnect the appliances from the high potential of the live wire. So the appliances will never become live. So this protects the appliances, and that's how it works. So if you want to see the video again, how the fuse work, you can actually scan this QR code on your notes to view the video again. So I hope this video helps in your understanding of earth wire and the fuse.